Good morning, friends. Welcome back to our channel. We are doing a little bit of food preservation here today, and I thought I would show you what we're doing. I have actually been making butter. We were given probably a case of whipping cream. And yeah, heavy whipping cream, and so it was short dated. It needed to be used right away. Uh-oh. I might have to put her to bed and then check back in with you. We were also given a few cases of apples that, again, needed to be used. We're so thankful that people send us some stuff whenever they have extra. And so we actually got out our food dehydrator. How many years do you think it's been that we've had that thing sitting out there?
Well, before it was there, it was at the city house.
Yeah, so, was it from your mom?
From Grandpa Mike, yeah.
Grandpa, yeah.
So I've had it probably 10 years plus.
Yeah, we've had it, but we haven't.
We used it once.
We used it once, and then, you know, it's one of those things that you have good intentions, but you don't use. But today, we are using it to dry apples. Today's the day. So what he's doing is, we have this apple pear core slicer, and he is slicing those up. It makes it pretty easy.
You put me on the spot?
Yeah, I'll come back to you in a minute. Get that apple ready. And then he's laying them all out on these trays. Samuel's helping too there, you can see. So the way this thing goes is it has this bottom piece that's, whoops, there's a little bit on that element there. Let's get that off. Okay. So that's the heater down there, Jason? Am I understanding this right?
Yeah, it basically heats up, and then you know, the chimney effect. You have the hot air going up, and the hot air draws the moisture out, and then voila, dehydrated.
Apples. Works very slowly. So you just keep...
Here, push them closer together because they're going to shrink, bud. So we have lots and lots of apples. And
Silas has been helping with the arranging and the munching, looks like. So you just keep stacking up trays. So when Samuel's done with that tray, then we'll put it on top, just like this. You just keep stacking them up.
And then there's a lid, and then you can adjust your moisture. And if we were really good, we'd know what that meant and which one needed to be where for how long.
We're just going to experiment. We'll let you know.
Yeah, it needs to be dried first.
Yeah. We actually a couple people here really like dried apples. This guy especially. So he's
what was it? Was it a Valentine's Day gift or something?
Yeah, we bought him a giant bag of dried apples.
I almost made myself sick eating them.
Yes, that's fine. So, but all of our kids like any kind of dried fruit and things. So this will be a fun treat. I'm also going to cut up a bunch and throw them in our crock pot and make applesauce.
One of the things that I want to say about this thing, it's great. I can't remember if I did something to the spring or whatnot, but if I let it on the softer apples, it will eat the apple up, meaning that there will be too much apple on the peel like these right here. So I kind of like, if you will, I'm feathering it. And then the softer apples in the core will spin out. There's little prongs that come out here and stick in your apple. And the more round the apple, the better the slices. So, or pears, I guess is the right way to say it. So I try to pick the best one for example purposes.
How nice.
So then you get it started again. I just kind of let it go.
And honestly, if these were organic apples that were fresh, new, good organic apples, I would leave that peel on. For the applesauce and everything, I leave the peel on. But because these are older apples and they're not organic, we just decided to take that peel off.
I'm helping it along.
But yeah, it's hard to do older apples.
See how it's digging in it?
Yep.
Yep, it's too soft and it won't. So now it's starting to. Oh.
Yeah, it's a balance. Right. It's some of these, like this one that you pulled out right now.
Yeah, this one's a bad one.
We wonder, like, would it be faster just to cut it by hand?
Maybe.
But
I'm in it now.
You're in it now, that's right. And with these apples, again, these apples were going to be thrown away, these cases, and so we're just getting through them. If we lose some of them, it's okay. It's going out to the chickens.
Yep.
But they were all going to get disposed of, so.
Yep. So we're saving them.
We're saving. Very good.
Not bad, really.
Not bad.
Not bad.
This is the way we are freezing bananas. We received a bunch of bananas, and so we're freezing them on these trays so that we can break them apart and transfer them to Ziploc bags. So this one's ready to be broken up. And the butter, I am using wax paper to wrap up. Each of these is about 2 pounds. So I just put the pat of butter on the wax paper, fold it up, and then I'm putting it in a Ziploc bag. This extra step isn't actually necessary. It's just my wax paper was flopping open, so this keeps it closed. But you can see that we freeze regular butter. You can throw any kind of butter just in the freezer straight like this, and then I pull out a few sticks at a time to keep in the refrigerator, but that way you can store butter for a really long time. And since this was from milk that was close to the expiration date, I didn't want to leave it sit out in the refrigerator. We'll just pull out one of those packages at a time. So what I've been doing is putting 2 boxes. These are 1 quart cartons. So I put 2 into our mixer. And then, this is really complicated, folks. This is all you have to do. Turn it on. That's it. So what I do is I start it on. You want to gradually work it up to as high as you can. When it first, as you could see, that first slosh, it kind of sprays out a little bit, but just gradually work it up until your mixer's turned up as high as it can without it flying over the sides. And if you have less, if you only do 1 box in there, you will be able to turn it up higher than me because you'll just have more room. This is the Architect. So it is the largest KitchenAid mixer that they make for homes. So you might have to just do 1 box if you have a smaller mixer. I have found that 1 quart makes about 1 pound of butter. So I've been able to get 8 pounds of butter so far. I've gone through 8 of those cartons already. And we're working on 9 or 10 right now. The only thing this takes is time. It just takes time, a lot longer than you would think. In fact, the very first time I made butter, I gave up because it took so long to get to the butter point that I thought I was doing something wrong. So just let that keep going. I will show you the next step in a few minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes and it's now looking like this. So it's turning into some whipped cream, and you could stop now and gobble that up, but we are going to keep going past this point. It's still up as high as it can go without splashing out. And if you're able to, you could even turn it up 1 because of course it's not going to splatter at this point. Now my disclaimer is when you're at this point that your mixer is on full blast and it's at this whipped cream stage, stay nearby the mixer, don't go far, because it's really amazing. The butter will suddenly separate out from the milk and you'll have butter and buttermilk. And when that happens, because the butter is chunks and your mixer is on high, it will suddenly start sloshing. One of the batches that I made, I was in the other room, silly me, and all of a sudden I heard the sound of that. It's a different sound. And I ran back into the kitchen to find milk, buttermilk, just pouring out of the mixer. Every time it sloshed around, I had to clean it off of the walls, the counter, the floor. It was a mess. So keep an eye on it at this point. It has been a total of 15 minutes since we began, so I want to show you the progress. It's still going. You can see the whipped cream has begun to reduce. The amount that's in the bowl looks smaller, but it is not yet to the butter point, so we're just going to keep on going. Okay, we are at 20 minutes since we began, and you can see it's starting to splatter out a little bit, which means that we are close. So I am going to actually turn this down 1. You can see it's starting to slosh. You want to keep it, I'm sorry, the camera's wiggling. This little lady is getting excited, aren't you? You getting excited about this? So I just like to be here at this point because you want to keep it running as long as possible because it really will help to separate that butter fully so you don't have buttermilk remaining in your butter. But you do need to gradually keep turning it down or, like I said, you're going to have a mess. So let's turn it down a little bit more. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Woo, it's going crazy. There it is. So you see you have your butter and your buttermilk.
It doesn't look like butter.
It just needs to be squeezed and pressed. So I'm going to use a strainer in my big 8 cup measuring cup. I usually just kind of hold the butter logged mixing blade to the side and pour off as much buttermilk as I can just to get it out of the way. There we go. Now your goal is to try to squeeze all the buttermilk you can out of this. So I usually take a wooden spoon, or if you wanted to, you could even wash your hands really well and use your hands to just kind of squeeze this together. You can see that the more I push, the more buttermilk will come out. See that? Oops, I lost a chunk there. Let's fish it out again. So at this point, since I'm doing all this effort to squeeze the buttermilk out anyway, what I will do is I will sprinkle salt in, because I want to salt my butter at this point, but I don't want salty buttermilk. So the buttermilk that I've poured off, I will set aside to use another day, and whatever else I squeeze out after the salting point, I will just dump down the drain. Okay, so that is my big 2-pound pat of butter. The last thing I'm going to do, because I'm going to freeze this one, is just put a little bit of wax paper around it, and then I will add this to the Ziploc bag with my other one that's already in there, and I will have a beautiful homemade pat of butter in my freezer. It was as easy as that. If you aren't wanting to put your butter in the freezer and you just want to eat it, what I did for that batch is put it in one of these glass pyrex containers with snap-on lid. And actually I just have left this out. I made this one yesterday, and we've eaten through probably about half of it, and I have let it sit out so that it would be soft. You can let butter sit out for a couple days, or you could just stick it in the refrigerator. That's fine too. But these containers then make it easier. You don't have to shape it and wrap it. You can just stick it in anything that you have. Okay, it is the following morning. I wanted to show you what this looks like. So you can see we added no water at all. The top brown thing that you see is cinnamon. I sprinkled cinnamon over the apples before we put them in the crock pot, and they produced all that moisture. You see all that water? So it was just apple slices and cinnamon. Apple. You want some apple slices? Okay, just a minute. It was just the apple slices and cinnamon. That was it. That's the only thing I put in here. And we turned it on low, and it sat all night long on low, and now I'm going to blend it up with my hand blender. That's it, just like that. We have cinnamon applesauce. Sometimes if my kids are in a hurry and they want it quickly, I will actually throw in frozen strawberries or something like that and blend that in, and it will cool it off quickly and become like a strawberry applesauce or a blueberry applesauce. So it's been 24 hours.
Tastes so good.
And they are ready to go.
They maybe feel a little crispy, but when you bite in them, they're so good. So. James is snoring.
They are a yummy snack.
Oh, can I have one?
Yep, very good.
These are like yummy snacks where they're going to be gone pretty soon.
We'll have to make another batch. Thank you for cooking with us. We hope you enjoy these yummy treats, and we will see you guys again soon. Bye-bye.